1948, the world emerged from the shadow of World War II with a revolutionary idea: a universal code of human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or otherwise known as the UDHR, proclaimed that all people, everywhere, deserve dignity, equality, and freedom. But declarations alone cannot enforce justice. Over decades, the UDHR's principles were transformed into legally binding treaties, tools that hold nations accountable. Today we'll explore how a non-binding declaration became the foundation of modern human rights law. UDHR was born from the ashes of war, drafted by representatives from across the globe including Eleanor Roosevelt, Rene Cassin, and Charles Malik. It declared for the first time that human rights are not gifts from governments but entitlements of every person. Its 30 articles cover everything from the right to life to the right to education. But the UDHR had no teeth. It was a moral compass, not law. Nations could ignore it without consequence. So began a critical question: how do we turn these ideas into enforceable obligations? The answer lays in treaties. Inspired by the UDHR, the UN spent 18 years negotiating two landmark agreements: the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, ICESCR. Together with the UDHR, these formed the International Bill of Human Rights. Unlike declarations, treaties are legally binding, but there's a catch. Countries must voluntarily ratify them, incorporating their terms into national law. This process turns global promises into local realities. Declarations like the UDHR set the standard. They say, this is what this world should be. Treaties, however, demand action. When a country ratifies a treaty, it agrees to change laws, fund programs, and submit to oversight. For example, the UDHR's Article 5 says, no one shall be tortured. The Covenant Against Torture, otherwise known as CAT, turns that principle into law, requiring states to investigate abuses and prosecute torturers. The difference? Accountability. The UDHR's influence is vast. It has inspired and influenced many future treaties the UN has passed, including the ICCPR, ICESCR, CERD, CEDAW, and much more. Each treaty targets a gap the UDHR exposed. For instance, after the CRC's adoption in 1989, over 196 countries banned child labor and improved access to education. These treaties are not perfect, but they turn vague ideals into concrete legal obligations. Let's take a look at the ICCPR, ratified by 173 states. It enforces UDHR principles like the right to life and free elections, but its real power lies in accountability. States must report regularly to the UN Human Rights Committee, which investigates violations. In 2020, this committee ruled that Australia violated indigenous rights by failing to address climate threats to Torres Strait Islanders. This is the treaty system in action, translating the UDHR's vision into legal consequences. This is the case with many treaties derived from the UDHR, which is taking ideas from the UDHR and turning those ideas into legal obligations that all states must follow. Yet, challenges remain. Not all countries ratify all treaties. The US has signed but never ratified the CRC. China rejects the ICCPR, even when ratified. Enforcement is uneven. For example, Saudi Arabia ratified the CEDAW but still requires male guardianship for women. Why? Treaties lack police or armies. Compliance depends on political will, public pressure, and NGOs. The system is flawed, but is a system that didn't exist before the UDHR. Progress relies on people, not just paper. Treaties empower activists in India. The Right to Food campaign used the ICESCR to force the government to feed 800 million people. In Argentina, the CRC helped mothers of disappeared children demand justice. Courts cite treaties. In 2006, the UK's House of Lords banned evidence obtained by torture, citing the CAT. The UDHR gave us the language of rights. Treaties give us the tools to fight for them. The UDHR was never meant to be the end. It was a starting point, a map for a journey towards justice. Treaties are the vehicles on that journey. They are imperfect, but they transform should into must. As we face new challenges, digital privacy, climate migration, the UDHR's legacy reminds us, rights are not static. They evolve, and so must our tools to protect them.